Good evening. You will be given 3 minutes at this time for an opening statement. We will begin with Ms. Yoder.
Good evening. I am Martha Yoder and I'm a trustee in Farmington Township. Congressman Joyce could not be here this evening and asked me to say a few words on his behalf. First, I should note that Congressman Joyce is not here because he committed back in May to speak tonight at an event for the Stolen 100 Club, an organization whose mission it is to help stolen first responders and their families when they encounter illness, injury, or other unforeseen misfortune. Congressman Joyce was elected to Congress in 2012 after serving 24 years as Geauga County prosecutor. As congressman, he has served on the Appropriations Committee and worked to get Congress on a budget rather than relying on continuing resolutions. Congressman Joyce has fought for funding for the Great Lakes Restoration Initiative. This funding is used to protect the Great Lakes, which are a national treasure, providing not only beauty and recreation, but also 1.5 million jobs, generating $62 billion in wages annually. Congressman Joyce worked with Representative Gephardt, a Democrat from Hawaii, to pass the Helping Heroes Fly Act, requiring the TSA to expedite security screenings for severely injured or disabled veterans. While he has worked with those across the aisle when possible, Congressman Joyce has stood his ground when needed. He has voted over 20 times to repeal the Affordable Care Act, aka Obamacare. I could continue to list Congressman Joyce's accomplishments, but I'd rather explain why I support him. Not just why I'm voting for him, but why I'm willing to speak for him. In the last 2 years, I've grown to respect him as a man who has the heart of a public servant. When Congress is not in session, he is in the district, speaking with his constituents, finding out what we think. He spends time in Trumbull County, even though it makes up only 3% of the total population of his district. His staff come out to trustee and council meetings and work with us to help us as local officials to do our jobs well. He and his staff take the time to learn about our local issues. I know that if one of my residents has a problem that he can help with, I can call his office and get assistance. This is not because I'm so special, but because he takes his job of serving the people seriously and makes sure his staff do so as well. That is what public service looks like. In December, he drove from Twinsburg to Bloomfield to participate in a group swearing-in ceremony for township officials. He spoke from his heart when talking about his own attitude toward being a public servant. I know that he truly gets what many of my fellow elected officials don't. We are supposed to be servants of the people, not rulers over them. Congressman Joyce is not a rock star, but he's a good man working hard to serve all of the people in his district. For that, he has my vote and my support. Thank you.
Mr. Macko.
I'm David Macko, the Libertarian candidate for Congress. If I'm elected, I will never vote to increase your taxes or impose new taxes, and I will do my best to keep the invisible inflation tax from eating away more of your money. I will always vote to support the Constitution of the United States and to restore our liberties. And finally, I will work to impeach Barack Obama for treason, war crimes, murder, and trying to destroy the Constitution and set up a dictatorship. There are 3 major areas we need to address to save our country. I'll start this time with ending the Depression, since there are many young people here and you don't want to stay at home without a job until you're 30. We need to end the federal income tax. I support the Liberty Amendment to sell all federal property, which is not constitutionally held, including 1 million square miles of land, so that in 3 years we can repeal the federal income tax, the gift tax, and the death tax. I favor a complete audit of the Federal Reserve, as Ron Paul, America's greatest living statesman, proposed, so that we can end the Fed and restore honest gold and silver money, which will have the same value 5 years from now, 10 years from now. We need to end the police state. I favor the abolition of the Department of Homeland Security, the FBI, the TSA, the NSA. I used to say that the government should listen to the people. Now, I've changed that. The government should listen to the people when we want them to. We should fully restore the right to keep and bear arms so that if the terrorist threat is real, the American people can protect themselves. We need to abolish the BATFE. We need to abolish all federal gun laws. Finally, we need to prevent World War III. We need to bring all of our troops home now. We need to stop all foreign aid, which is unconstitutional, counterproductive since it usually makes both sides hate us, and we are $18 trillion past being totally broke. We need to bring some of those troops to our southern border if necessary. We need to stop the invasion, the alien invasion, which Obama has greatly accelerated, another reason to impeach him. We need to re-implement President Eisenhower's 1954 Act, which successfully returned 2 million illegal aliens to their homes, Operation Wetback. We need to do all of this without violating the rights of the American people or lawful guests. We can never use any government-created emergency or a real one as an excuse to violate our rights. The Constitution and God-given rights of the American people must always be predominant.
Mr. Lamort?
Thank you. My name is Justin Lamort. I'm the campaign manager for Michael Wager, the Democrat running for Congress in the 14th District, which includes right here in Trumbull County. Michael apologizes that he couldn't be here this evening, but he's attending to his father, who recently took a fall. But fortunately, he's doing okay. But I'm happy to take a few minutes and explain who Michael Wager is, why he's running for Congress, and why he deserves your vote. Michael Wager is truly a Northeast Ohio success story. He was born and raised in Beechwood, Ohio, and is the product of Northeast Ohio's public schools. As a young man, he worked in the Fisher Warehouse in Cleveland, unloading boxcars, and as a newspaper boy for the Cleveland Plain Dealer. But he was fortunate enough to be the first person in his family to graduate from college. He went on to become a successful lawyer, small business owner, and eventually the chair of the Cleveland-Cuyahoga County Port Authority. So Michael's truly had the chance to live the American dream. But he understands that for too many Americans today, that dream is no longer a reality. Achieving success through hard work is no longer possible like it used to be. So Michael Wager is running for Congress to restore that dream. I mentioned that Michael was a small business owner. He operated Cinnabon bakeries. Is everybody here familiar with Cinnabon? They're delicious. I could actually go for a cinnamon roll right now. But Michael learned a few important lessons when he ran those restaurants. First of which was how to make a darn good cinnamon roll. The second was how to create jobs, how to scout for a new location to open a business, hire employees, manage payroll, and meet a budget. And third, he realized that for many of his hourly wage employees, these weren't teenagers. These were the sole breadwinners for their family. And a minimum wage employee, and the federal minimum wage is $7.25 an hour, makes only $15,000 a year, which is hardly enough to support one person, let alone to raise a family. So that's why in Congress, Michael would raise that minimum wage to $10.10 an hour and index it to inflation so it grows over time. Because it rewards hard work and it gives more spending power to the middle class so they can stimulate the economy and create jobs. I also mentioned that, or I didn't mention yet, that Michael lives in Moreland Hills with his wife Peggy and their 2 daughters who are still in high school. And as a father and a husband, Michael understands why it's crucial to end gender discrimination in the workplace. It's unfortunate that in 2014, women still only make 77 cents on the dollar compared to men. And that's why Michael would support the Paycheck Fairness Act, which increases wage transparency in the workplace. Thank you. And makes it illegal for employers to retaliate against women or men who raise issues of gender discrimination. So to close, the 14th District contains 7 counties: Ashtabula, Blake, Geauga, Cuyahoga, Summit, Portage, and of course here in Trumbull County. Over 250,000 people are going to cast a vote for Congress in this election. And I hope you and the voters here tonight will help to deliver Trumbull County and the 14th District for Michael Wager. Thank you very much.
Since both miss you. Since we have 2 surrogates, All questions will be directed at Mr. Macco. Question 1. What are your plans to reduce federal spending?
First of all, we should bring all of our troops home, as I stated. Reducing military spending to its proper function, which is the defense of the United States, of the American people in the United States, that would cut military spending by 60%. Approximately 90% of all other federal spending is unconstitutional. So if we cut military spending to 40% and non-defense spending to 10%, that would solve most of the problems. We've got to return to the Constitution of the United States. We've got to quit meddling and be the policemen of the world, and we've got to get the federal government off the backs and out of the pocketbooks of the American people.
Second question. As a member of Congress, would you support further military action in Iraq and Syria?
No. As I said, we need to bring all our troops home now. We've been meddling in the affairs of the world for 100 years. Every time we've meddled, we've made it worse. Our government may have actually created real enemies this time, and if so, our troops should be brought back to the United States to defend us here. The Constitution does not authorize the United States government to be the policeman of the world. The proper purpose of our military is to defend the American people. I would never vote for any war unless it's to defend our homes and the Bill of Rights. I agree totally with Smedley Butler, who wrote the book, War is a Racket, which you can find on the internet. It's a very worthwhile piece of writing. He was one of the most decorated generals of the 20th century.
That is all the questions we have. Thank you, Mr. Lamort, Ms. Yoder, and Mr. Macco. At this time, we will now move on to our statewide candidates. First, we will have Alan Ryan to the stage. Mr. Ryan is a surrogate for John Husted, the Republican running for the Ohio Secretary of State. Thank you.
As you just told, my name is Alan Ryan. I am the Trumbull County representative for our Secretary of State, John Husted. Secretary Husted sends with me his thanks to Mr. Gibson and his team for hosting this very important event. The Secretary believes that every voter should be well informed about the men and women who will represent them while in public office. Candidates tonight provide part of that information. The Secretary of State is the Chief Election Officer for the state of Ohio. John Husted is making it easy to vote and harder to cheat. He has ensured all Ohio voters have the same opportunity to vote no matter where they live. Every registered voter received in the mail an application for an absentee ballot. You can literally vote from home. Since his first day in office, Secretary Husted has purged 270,000 deceased voters from the voter rolls. John is working with other states to catch people who try to vote in more than one state. He established a partnership with the Bureau of Motor Vehicles to find non-citizens who are on the voter roll. John Husted also built a system that allows Ohioans to securely change their voting address online. This makes the voter rolls more secure, and the system provides better service across Ohio for voters. John Husted is supporting the Ohio troops. John wants a program to help Ohio service members vote no matter where they are in the world. He was recognized by the Association of the U.S. Army for helping Ohio troops vote. Ohio was one of only a handful of states to be named an all-star state by the Military Voter Protection Project. John Husted is also working with military groups to help veterans start their own businesses when they retire. John Husted is helping Ohioans create jobs. John Husted has created a system for cutting through red tape and rolling out the red carpet in Ohio to help people start their businesses faster. Under Democratic control, the Secretary of State's office took almost 4 days to process a business application. Now it's down to a day and a half. John Husted also built an online business system so Ohioans could submit their paperwork 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. John is doing more with less. He has cut his staff by 25% and still maintains better services with less money. John Husted is supporting family values. As an adopted child, Secretary Husted has always been a strong supporter of adoption and families. John is a champion of personal responsibility. Your Secretary of State, John Husted, asks for your vote on November 4th. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ryan. Next, we will have candidates for the 64th District of the Ohio House of Representatives. Please welcome to the stage Randy Law, Elaine Master-Mateo, and Michael O'Brien. Good evening. You will each have 3 minutes this time for an opening statement. We will begin with Mr. Law.
Good evening. I appreciate everybody coming out this evening. I want to thank everybody for their involvement. I know it's a lot of work to put these on, and we do all appreciate that. My name is Randy Law. I'm running for state representative here in the 64th District. I was born and raised in the city of Warren and attended Warren City Public Schools. Had a good upbringing on the west side of Warren and learned what family was all about. I'm running for the 64th because I had the honor and privilege of representing the old 64th District in 2005 and 2006. It truly was an honor, and I'm very proud of the record I accomplished, our legislature accomplished, and my staff accomplished while I was there. I'm running because I want to use my experience to hit the ground running in Columbus from day one. In this day and age when things are fast and changing and evolving, you need somebody who knows a little bit about how Columbus works to get things done for people back in the district. I have a good history of working with the local folks, Democrats, Republicans, and independents, nonpartisans in the townships, and listening to their needs and getting things done. I have the major advantage of being able to sit in the majority caucus with the House, the Senate, and a Republican governor. Everybody who knows anything about how politics works in Ohio, that's how you get things done for your area. Very proud of our record. I passed major legislation while in Columbus. Our signature landfill bill, we were able to get through and make major changes when the world said we couldn't get it done. We got it done. I also was responsible for the fire safety training bill. Was part of the largest tax cut in the state's history, the lowest growth budget in 40 years, all while being named watchdog of the Treasury, which I'm very proud of. My goals, if elected, will be to have Ohio continue to move forward in the environment, tax and regulatory wise, to put people to work, attract and maintain the businesses we need to put the young people to work, the people that are here, and keep the jobs in Ohio and increase our tax base. That's how you grow an economy. I'm going to work very, very hard from day one to do the best we can to take advantage of this once-in-a-lifetime economic opportunity with the gas and oil industry and all the businesses that go along with it. It's important to have somebody in the majority to take advantage of those. Also, I plan to focus on fixing the septic tank issue here in Trumbull County and working on strong constituent service, which we did before. A little about the issues. I've been endorsed by all the pro-business, pro-life, pro-family, and pro-Second Amendment groups that I'm aware that have endorsed in this race. So it gives you a little background on the philosophy I bring. I ask for your vote supporting this race, and I promise my staff and I will work very hard to make you very proud of us in Columbus. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Law. Ms. Mastromateo, you may now begin.
Okay, everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, hi there. I'm Elaine Mastromateo from the Green Party. In 2014, 11% of Ohio's voters chose to register with the Democrat Party, and almost 18% registered with the Republicans, leaving over 70% who don't want to be a member of either party, who consider themselves independent or third party. So why is it that only two parties control our entire electoral process? Where are the seats on the county boards of election for independents? Where are the gerrymandered districts guaranteed to go to independent or third-party candidates? The Republicans and Democrats in the Ohio legislature are too busy playing power games with citizens' rights and satisfying the wishes of their big-money donors to care about ordinary Ohioans. They hold power not by virtue, but by manipulating the system. They have slowly chipped away at the rights of Ohioans, leaving them with no recourse to protect their communities or hold the criminal or the incompetent accountable. Most of the solutions to our problems are no-brainers. Every problem that faces Ohio today has been faced and fixed by someone else. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. We just have to look at the most successful efforts on the part of others in similar situations. We could have universal health care. Instead, we've got an incomprehensible, expensive, for-profit system of health insurance, not health care. We could have a thriving industrial hemp and cannabis industry. We have the agricultural expertise to grow it, and we have a world-class medical center to use it, to develop groundbreaking treatments for ailments like Alzheimer's and PTSD. Instead, we have jails full of nonviolent drug offenders, a for-profit prison industry that incarcerates 25% of the world's prisoners, and a disastrous war on drugs. We could have fully and fairly funded education through college. Instead, we have a student loan crisis in this country that threatens the futures of our college graduates. We could have renewable energy. Other countries are making huge advances in eliminating the need for dirty fossil fuels. Yet I'm the only candidate here who objects to fracking and seeks to throw off the iron grip of the oil and gas industry. The technology is there. What's lacking is the will. And what removes the will to legislate for the people is the influence of money. So to the two gentlemen sitting beside me, I want to say you may be a good man, and I hope so. But your party is corrupt. And by corrupt, I mean that you allowed industry money to fund your campaigns and industry insiders to write legislation in their favor and to the detriment of the people. As we watch more of our rights get stripped away, whether it's the destruction of home rule, or trying to get rid of third parties and diminish voters' rights, or denying a woman's right to bodily autonomy, we the people feel more and more helpless to do anything. So that's why I'm here.
Ma'am, your time
To
is
speak for us and to let you know that if you want a representative that does not take corporate donations, who will not be corrupted by big money lobbyists, who will legislate purely in the interests of the people of Ohio, and I am the only one. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mastromateo. Mr. O'Brien, you have the floor.
Thank you. First of all, let me thank Mr. Gibson and the Maplewood government class for this evening, and also the Trumbull County Trustees Association. Let me congratulate Maplewood local schools for their distinction in the entire state. Congratulations to Superintendent Perry Nicholas, administration, staff, of course the students, and as important, the parents and grandparents of this local school district. Great achievement through a lot of hard work from everyone involved. Also, let me congratulate TCTC for their great awards that they recently received under the direction of Jason Gray. I was on a tour of TCTC just the other day, and I encourage people throughout our county to look, watch, and observe the great progress that TCTC has made over the years and the phenomenal work that our students under the teacher's direction have accomplished. Congratulations, Barry Nicholas and Jason Gray. I'm 59 years old, born in Warren, graduate of John F. Kennedy High School, and graduate of Youngstown State University. I'm the proud parent of 3 children. My son Michael, often referred to as Sergeant Michael O'Brien, United States Marine Corps, presently deployed. My daughter Kristen, and my youngest son Dominic. My entire adult life, I've dedicated to serving the public. Whether it was as a juvenile probation officer at the Trumbull County Family Court for 11 years, a city councilman in Warren for 11 years, Trumbull County Commissioner for 11 years, or Mayor of the City of Warren for 8 years. During those elected positions, I've been honored to be elected, but most important, to be re-elected to literally every position I've held. I feel with that legislative experience as a councilman, the administrative experience as a county commissioner and mayor, provide me the opportunity to hit the ground running and has prepared me to be your 64th District State Representative. My opponents refer to me as a career politician. I make no excuses for 30 years of experience. Now this statement is directed to the students. If you look up the word experience in the thesaurus, you will see these words: knowledge, understanding, wisdom, familiarity, judgment, and maturity. I wish to bring those attributes to the office of 64th District State Representative. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. O'Brien. We will begin the questioning with Mr. Law. After that, Ms. Master Mateo and Mr. O'Brien may respond to the question. Mr. Law. Stand. If financial cuts were needed to balance the budget, what would you be willing to cut and why?
I don't agree, excuse me, that time of year. I don't agree totally with the premise of the question. Financial cuts are not always needed to balance the budget. I believe in growth, broad-based, low taxes, broad-based growth. You create wealth in the state and locally by creating the environment to bring jobs. Jobs, business, create taxes. That's what funds the state of Ohio. In touching on what would be done, you need to open the books for everything. When I was there, and we let Medicaid increase at the pace it was increasing, it would have consumed the entire budget in 10 years. Impossible to do. We made some major reforms. We made some tough decisions. Nobody likes to do that. That's what you're electing us to do. You have to cut out fraud and waste. It's still there. We need to do those things. But most important for Ohio and everybody sitting in here in the future is increasing the tax base with low taxes, broad growth, and providing the services essential for the entire state of Ohio and our future. Thank you.
You may now respond to the question.
Thank you. Thank you. Something that I would love to see done to increase our tax base is raising the minimum wage. I think 10.10 is great, but I think 15 would be better. I think that if everybody has a little more money to spend in the economy, then we'll be a lot better off. I also think that we can eliminate programs that don't work. I think that we ought to keep public money out of private hands. I think that things that we ought to be, the solutions that we ought to be finding should be peaceful and community-oriented rather than violent and a buildup of military equipment in our police forces. I think that we have again, we have the know-how, we have the wisdom, we just lack the will to appropriate our money properly.
Thank you.
You know, I've been on the other end of it as far as budgets being cut. Matter of fact, one year when I was mayor, 25% of our revenue was cut in 18 days during 2009. Did we manage? Of course we did. Did we streamline? Of course we did. But at the same time, the state eliminated the local government fund. Now that's $2 million to the city alone. I don't believe you can cut so far, and you're cutting the fat, now you're cutting into the muscle, and I'm opposed to that. I'm in favor of incentives to increase industry, to grow jobs. I'm also in favor of increasing minimum wage. But to increase incentives, to create jobs, will again expand the growth and manage our economy. Thank you.
Ms. Master-Mateo, the next question will be directed first to you. What is your feeling about restoring local government funding to our area?
Sorry.
What is your feeling toward restoring local government funding in our area?
Local government funding, yes. One of the big things about being in the Green Party is we have a great emphasis on decentralization. We absolutely feel that the people who know the best for their community are the people of that community. So I would object to cutting government funding to local communities, and I would absolutely approve and work for the return of home rule to our communities so that we can be the ones that decide what kind of nasty business we let in.
Thank you, Ms. Master-Mateo. Mr. O'Brien, it is now your opportunity.
One of my major platforms has been and will always be to restore local government funding or restore the resources that local government funding provides. You know, I don't remember them asking Adrian Viviano, the county auditor, if they should eliminate local government funds. I don't remember them giving Tom Altier a call as sheriff of Trumbull County and asking him if they thought it was a good idea to eliminate local government fund dollars. Like I said earlier, in the city of Warren alone, $2 million were taken from local government funds. Ask your counties, ask your townships, ask your cities if they're in favor of the restoration of local government funds or the restoration of those resources that local government funds provide. Basically, they provide safety forces. Take $2 million out of the city of Warren's budget, please. Local government funds or those types of funds need to be restored, especially when the rainy day fund in Columbus is in excess of $3 billion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. O'Brien. Mr. Law?
Thank you. I fully understand the issues as fully as you can. I'm sure the local officials will still understand a little bit more. Having dealt with this issue, when I got to Columbus in 2005, we were facing a $5 billion debt. We were in the hole, not quite as big as they did this legislature, but my own Republican governor, Taft, proposed a 20% cut in government funds to my own city, Mayor O'Brien's Warren. This is before the cut he is talking about. He and everybody knows I fought to get that flat line. We ended up cutting no local government funds that year. averted the layoffs they were planning in the safety forces in the city of Warren as a result, and also fought with the majority to receive a very large grant, the only one in the state of Ohio, that would have either covered that fund, or better yet, when it was flatlined, the city of Warren received money put into the fund to hire police and fire. And I will fight to make sure that our fair monies are brought back to our communities, cities, and townships to provide those local services that are so essential to local citizens. Thank you.
This will be the final question for you, candidates. Mr. O'Brien, the question will be directed first to you. Okay. What ideas do you have concerning school funding?
Well, first of all, regarding school funding, it's no secret that the Ohio Supreme Court years ago has deemed it unconstitutional as far as the funding is in regards to putting on the backs of the taxpayers. Time and time again, in discussion with the Ohio Education Association, who's endorsed my candidacy, in discussion with the local regional chamber, who I've been involved with for years as a county commissioner mayor, in discussion with them and in implementing their ideas, I feel that my thoughts were to develop, and I'll be part of the discussion, to develop a constitutionally based method to restore school funding. I don't particularly, I'm going to be honest with you and tell you right now, I don't have the magic wand to restore funding for the local schools or to change the funding in the process. However, I will tell you, over the 30 years as county commissioner, councilman, and mayor, I'll be a great listener for those ideas of those public interests of the OEA, of the chamber, of the administration of the governor's office, and the Department of Education. Thank you.
Mr. Law?
1 minute is impossible to discuss school funding and all of school, but we'll do what we can here. I'll eliminate the talking points and approach this a little differently. Mayor O'Brien is correct. None of us have the magic wand. It's far too complicated, far too down the track. The system needs started over. But very briefly, I feel we had the whole wrong focus on this issue. I sometimes disagree with my own caucus, quite often actually. Focus has to be on the students. If we start focusing on funding, we never get anywhere. The focus has to be on education in the state of Ohio. What do we want to do and how do we provide it? You've got a great school system here. Many of you here, because your parents and grandparents moved out here to go to a great small local school district. That's great in the public system. Many people have the ability to afford to go to a private school. Oh, I got the red already? I apologize. Wow. I'll just finish that sentence. Once again, the focus has to be on students and the way we educate and bring this all together and wrap it up with funding. And I promise to work on that very hard in Columbus.
Ms. Massamateo, your turn.
Thank you. One thing I would favor is the creation of a state bank to help college students get low-cost loans for college that would reinvest the money back into the state. I also think, unfortunately, I disagree with you, Mr. Law, this isn't complicated. It's really simple. Acting like it is, that we have to have a magic wand, we don't. We really don't. There's places all over the world where there's wonderful educational outcomes with very smart students, successful students, students that are prepared for the coming century or two. All we have to do is have the will to find out who they are and how they did it. We don't need a magic wand. It doesn't have to be magic. We don't have to reinvent something. Find somebody who's done this and do it right. Pay teachers more. Respect them more. Respect our students. Know what they need to know. Don't make them understand things that they don't need to know. All right? Know what they need to be prepared to be productive citizens the next coming century and teach them that. Thank you.
That concludes our questioning. Thank you very much, Mr. Law, Ms. Mateo, and Mr. O'Brien.
Next, we have candidates for the 7th District of the Ohio State Board of Education. Please welcome to the stage Michael Charney, Sarah Fowler, and David Spencer. Good evening. You have 3 minutes at this time for an opening statement. We will begin with Mr. Charney.
Thanks for the opportunity to speak tonight. And today and tonight is really a deja vu moment for me. Because after teaching 30 years in Ohio's classrooms, I started something called Ohio Youth Voices, working with urban, rural, and suburban high school students to create an Ohio Youth Agenda. And we held candidates nights like this for state rep and Congress and state board all across Ohio. And the students were the only people who had to ask questions, and they really put the politicians on the spot. I taught for over 30 years, and I taught all different kinds of students. I taught students going to competitive universities like Syracuse. I also taught students about to drop out of high school in a 4-year project. And with that work, for the dropout prevention work I developed, I was awarded the Martin Luther King Humanitarian Award for Governor George Voinovich. Shows how old I am. I also, 5 years later, was awarded the National Teacher of the Year for my work with engaging parents in unique ways of creating literacy-friendly homes and making sure they had decision-making in school improvement plans. But my real experience that prepares me for the State Board of Education is that I gave the Ohio Proficiency Test and the Ohio Graduation Test. And what I learned from that is that too often these high-stakes standardized tests distorts teaching and learning, turns kids into a test score, and denies them a well-rounded education, because what is not tested often does not get the emphasis. Just yesterday, I talked to a 5th grade teacher who told me that his students aren't prepared with knowing any science because they only test reading and math in the early grades. I also traveled 2,000 miles across District 7 listening to teachers, superintendents, including your superintendent and all the Trumbull County superintendents and teachers at TCTC. And what I learned is they have a shared view. Teachers told me that their classroom is being micromanaged by these high-stakes tests, and that they're thinking of actually leaving the profession. I also learned that hundreds of millions of dollars are being drained from these public schools by online, for-profit charter schools that have a 35% graduation rate. So I am running with my wealth of experience, my commitment to reducing the over-reliance on high-stakes testing, and to shine a light on these online for-profit schools where businessmen are good at marketing but lousy at education. Thank you.
Ms. Fowler.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be back with you this evening. You're one of the first candidate nights I got to speak at when I ran for this office in 2012. It's a pleasure to be invited back. It's been an honor to serve you, and I'm delighted to see a lot of young people in the audience because we don't see that a lot of places, and I find for myself that a lot of younger people are not interested in political things, which is unfortunate. I bring the median age of board down considerably. As the homeschool graduate, a former small business owner for 13 years, and an instructor of hands-on skills in the United States and in Mexico, I have the broad experiences necessary to fairly represent all forms of education on the State Board of Education. I have been committed to researching each topic thoroughly and providing knowledgeable perspectives on rules that affect private schools, religious schools, public schools, home education, career technical schools. I've had the privilege of inviting down some career technical instructors to speak to one of our committees about the need for more time. And I've advocated for true local control of Ohio's public school systems, raising concerns with the national overtake of education through the state adoption of the Common Core state standards and related park assessments, which ultimately remove state autonomy, local control, and parental involvement in education. I wrote a resolution emphasizing local school board's jurisdiction over curriculum, and I'm very proud to say it passed with strong bipartisan support with a vote of 12-3 last November. I also voted against resolutions like the new Ohio teacher and principal evaluation system because I believe we need to be evaluating our teachers at a local level between the superintendent, principals, local school boards that hired them, and the parents they're serving, rather than through a state bureaucracy and tied to an assessment that's not been tested yet. I support good stewardship of taxpayer money and accountability for all public schools, including community schools. One of the things that I think we could do to help with the issues we've seen in the papers regarding community schools lately would be to increase the amount of board member training, and specifically regarding areas of financial accountability. Secondly, to allow the sponsors and to withhold funding from the operators of the schools who are not meeting state laws and operating standards. I think that would be a very reasonable step, and I intend to make a resolution to our board this coming month to that effect, to recommend to the legislature that they do that. Because we are a policy-making body, we operate under the legislature. I would appreciate your vote in November. I'm Sarah Fowler. Thank you very much.
Mr. Spencer?
Thank you. I want to thank Maplewood High School for inviting us here this evening. This is just a wonderful event, and I'm very impressed with all the preparation that's gone into this. Also want to congratulate the school for getting the straight A's on the report cards. And that makes 2 schools in District 7, along with Hudson, along with Aurora, that have received straight A's, and just congratulate them for that. My name is David Spencer, and I'm running for the State Board of Education, District 7. I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself, mostly just so that you can have some idea of what perspective I would be bringing to the State Board of Education. I think you've heard excellent credentials from each of the candidates, and it's important that you know what we are bringing to the board. And so I'll tell you just a little bit about myself. I spent 17 years as a classroom teacher teaching elementary school, and another 17 years as an elementary school principal. And along with that, I've had all kinds of experiences in the classroom in terms of teaching upper elementary grades, introducing a course at grade 8 on decision-making and goals. I had the opportunity to implement the first class for children with learning disabilities in an elementary program in Kent City Schools. And then later on as an administrator, I had the wonderful privilege of establishing in a local neighborhood a tutoring center where kids just didn't have the advantage of the nurturing that many other kids did. And so we went to the management of this low-income housing complex, and they allowed us to use a space. And collaborating with a local church and another school and volunteers, we were able to establish this tutoring center in this school. in this apartment complex. It's also had the opportunity to participate with the character education program. We initiated that in Kent, and I had the opportunity to spearhead that. Among the many activities we had was a Laws of Life essay contest, where students wrote about the principles that guide their lives. It was a very worthwhile experience for those students. As an administrator, I also had the opportunity to chair a number of curriculum revisions committees, textbook selection committees. They're all crucial to the success of a local school district. In addition, I've served as a president of our County Administrators Association and served on the board of directors for the State Board of Administrators. So my name is David Spencer. I'm running for State Board of Education. I appreciate your consideration. Thank you.
We will begin the questioning with Mr. Charney. What are your thoughts on Common Core? And if you are not in favor, what can or will you do to change it?
Okay, in 1 minute, Common Core. I like the idea of these high expectations so no child gets a watered-down curriculum. But I have 3 problems. The first problem is that for the little kids, K to 3, it might not be developmentally appropriate. In other words, they're trying to have them learn stuff that a kindergarten kid really can't. Second is there's no plan when, as in New York State, only 30% of the kids pass these tests. Are we going to put in place these reduced class sizes and personal attention so they'll succeed? My third problem is that with a national curriculum, big multinational companies like Pearson can make billions of dollars by producing these standardized tests for both evaluation for the kids, and that will take and sap the purpose of education, which is for the common good and not for a company to make a lot of money. Common Core in 58 seconds.
Ms. Fowler?
Thank you. It's really hard to sum up the Common Core state standards in 58 seconds, so I invite you to visit my website, electsarahfowler.net, where I have a very lengthy explanation of my position on this. It's been interesting to hear my opponent's viewpoints on this develop over time. I have been in support of repeal of the Common Core state standards since last May. And I have had the opportunity to testify on my own behalf before the legislature. I think this is important to note that this is one of the things that's important for your State Board of Education members to have working relationships with the legislators and provide testimony there. Additionally, I am concerned about the loss of local control, state autonomy, and parental involvement with the Common Core state standards, and the fact that they were written by lobbyist organizations in Washington, D.C. Appreciate your support. Thank you.
I do begin by saying that I have literature on the back table there, and I would encourage you to go to my website where you can find more information on this, SpencerForOhioSchools.com. I believe the Common Core standards do pose a challenge for students across the nation. I believe they provide rigor and go deeper in the various content areas, particularly in math and English language arts. It's a program that was initiated by governors and has been embraced by the states. Curriculum materials are completely at the discretion of the local Board of Education. And so I would support the Common Core standards as they are given. Many notable people do support them as well. Governor Jeb Bush, for example, says, as the architect of the Common Core state standards, Coleman, who designed them, gave us hope for the future. I'm Dave Spencer, and thank you for considering.
We're going to switch out mics here real quick because the battery's died on this one. For purposes of next question for the candidates. Expand upon your public education experience and what would you change? And Ms. Fowler, you are first.
As mentioned earlier, I am a homeschool graduate. My grandparents both taught special education for 30 years in the public schools, and the State Board of Education actually regulates all forms of education, K through 12, in the state of Ohio. So I bring a very unique perspective to the board, one that not many of the other board members are able to bring. In fact, there are no other homeschool graduates in the nation on a State Board of Education. I forget the second part of the question, but if it's regarding what you would change in public education, I would just comment that I think that we are always at state level working to improve the general premises of education in all forms of education. We want to see children excelling and doing well without micromanaging at a local level. I want to see the local school boards being able to make the decisions that affect their immediate communities, the teachers in their district, the kids in their district. And so I feel that at a state level, we need to allow local boards that opportunity.
Could you please repeat the question?
What are your qualifications? Expand upon your public education experience. What would you choose? What would you change? I'm sorry.
In public education, some of the concerns that I have is that there are many changes that are taking place, and people have not had a chance to become familiar with those and need an opportunity to get acquainted with them. For example, the changes in mathematics or English language arts that are coming along with the Common Core standards, I would advocate having some kind of programs for parents, whether it's a learning center in the school or in the neighborhood, but reaching out to them and offering just a quick little session that might be of help to them. I think another thing that I would change, I would advocate changing, the state board simply makes policy and advises, but I think there's way too much testing right now. If you look at 36 weeks in the school year and you take a look at the testing schedule, 29 of those weeks are impacted by the testing. Thank you.
I interpret this question kind of personally, like what about my education? I went to public schools, and as I mentioned, I taught for over 30 years. And what I would change is trying to figure out how teachers can be much more innovative and curriculum and really motivate their students, because too many of my teachers just gave lectures, and it was boring as whatever. I was able to, in my teaching, not only motivate students, but 5 times Ohio Bell and the Ohio Department of Education awarded me with innovative teaching. For example, I gave cookies for all my students, then distributed them on the basis of the distribution of income in the United States, so they could think about who had the power, how we got the people together. And so personally, we got to figure out how to get rid of too much testing and tap the exciting potential of all students by great teachers who won't just talk at them like I just did.
The next question will begin with Mr. Spencer. What are your current thoughts on the amount of standardized tests students must take?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that question.
What are your current thoughts on the amount of standardized tests students must take?
I think I think I answered that with the last time up here, but I think there's way too much standardized testing. I would advocate that the board charge the State Department of Education to examine the amount of testing that's given and how could we spread this out. Let's sit back and take some time to review it and come up with a better recommendation on to see how we're doing. Thank you.
Next, Mr. Charney.
Not only is there overwhelmingly an obsession with standardized testing, but it's done for all the wrong reasons. It's done to gotcha, to figure out which teachers need to be punished. I would propose a whole different kind of assessment system. For example, at the maybe 3 or 4 times a year, a student would bring in their parents, a friend, and a relative, a teacher, and they would show what they learned as a different kind of assessment instead of this mind-numbing standardized system. I would also redefine accountability, not as what the kids did on a test score, but how teachers can interact with each other and go into each other's classrooms, critique their lessons, share what really they need to improve, and then we will have a culture of school transformation and not a culture of micromanaging people with a worship of irrelevant student data.
I don't know if I mentioned earlier that I serve on 3 committees. I'm the vice chair of the Operating Standards Committee, and this is an issue that I've brought up in the past. I'm currently working on getting a list of all of the testing in the state that is required at a state level, and I would like to see more flexibility in that. I do not support requiring through the evaluation system teachers having to teach to a test in order for districts to have to do well. And I think there are other ways that we can assess children, and teachers, but that's a long story, so I won't go into that. Just would also like to say that, I'm sorry, my mind went blank. I have 3 points on that. The short answer is no, I do not support, or I support looking into what kinds of tests are being done, the total number, and please talk to me afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Charney, Ms. Fowler, and Mr. Spencer.
All right, everyone, we're going to take a quick 3-minute intermission.
Mr. Buchanan and Mr. Ron Tamperkamp, starting.
Test.
Good evening. You have 3 minutes at this time for an opening statement. We will begin with Judge Cantor.
Thank you, Ben, and to all those at Maplewood School here, and to the Township Trustees Association for sponsoring this event. It's a pleasure to be here. It seemed like a perfect marriage, but the only thing I can think of to make it better is if we incorporate the barbecue from Charlene Farms from a few years ago. That would be great. I am Judge Tim Buchanan, your judge on the 11th District Court of Appeals. I've been practicing law for 34 years. I am in my 8th year on the Court of Appeals, and my 4th year as the presiding and administrative judge. I live in Lake County. It's a big 5-county district. I lived there with my wife Lisa. We had 2 adult children. My wife and I have been married for 34 years, as long as I've been an attorney. And I would tell you, in the course of my experience as a judge on the 11th District Court of Appeals, I've received many appointments and accolades from the Ohio Supreme Court. I've sat as a visiting justice there on a couple of occasions. The Chief Justice appointed me to a case management advisory committee. She appointed me to chair that committee. which will affect the delivery of cases and services in every court in the state of Ohio. I've also been appointed to serve as a judge in 5 other appellate districts, and the Supreme Court wouldn't be doing those things if they didn't think I was doing a good job. It's hard in 3 minutes to explain to you why you should vote for us. I would tell you and ask you to draw on a couple of things that might assist you in your analysis. And the first is the newspaper endorsements. And you may not like your newspaper, you may not believe everything you read, but the newspapers, there's 2 newspapers that have endorsed in this race. And the first is the Cleveland Plain Dealer, which endorsed me, and the Youngstown Vindicator endorsed me, I think, yesterday or the day before. The Youngstown Vindicator indicated that I was the clear choice and that the voters of the 11th District would be remiss not to return me for another term based on my stellar performance. And the reason I say you should consider that is because the newspapers have spent a lot of time with us. They did questionnaires, they sat down, we engaged with them, they fired questions at us, and it was a complete vetting process. The other thing I think you should draw on or consider drawing on are the Bar Association polls. In our district, there's 4 bar associations which will be passing on our candidacies. The Lake County Bar Association has indicated I am highly qualified. There was 100% affirmative vote from the Lake County lawyers who know me best. The Trumbull County Bar Association does a preference poll, and I was preferred by 84% of the attorneys. The Portage County Bar Association just today indicated that I was the highly qualified candidate in this race. Thank you for your consideration. My name is Judge Tim Cannon. I would appreciate your vote.
Mr. Tamburino.
Good evening. My name is Ron Tamburino. I'm a candidate for the 11th District Court of Appeals. My wife and I live on an operating farm in Trumbull Township. Leanne and I have been married for 21 years. We have 6 children. We started having our own children about midway through raising her 3 younger siblings whose parents died suddenly. I'm a township trustee in Trumbull Township in Ashtabula County, currently serving my 3rd term, 9th year as chairman, and I'm serving my 7th year on the Northwest Ambulance District Board. My wife Leanne is the president of the Geauga Theater in Chardon, Ohio, and we also have several small businesses. I graduated from the University of Akron, an undergraduate school with degrees in fire science and technical education, and then got my law degree also from the University of Akron. I started a private practice in Canton, Ohio, where I practiced for 5 years doing civil cases and criminal cases in state and federal court and regulatory law. After 5 years, I joined the Sherwin-Williams Company legal department, where I was invited after working on a $180 million warehouse fire. The warehouse was owned by the Sherwin-Williams Company. I worked on that case. I accepted positions of increasing responsibility during my 26 years at the Sherwin-Williams Company, and for the last 7 years, I was responsible for all the general litigation for the company. During the time period that I was there, the company went from $1.7 billion in revenue to $10 billion in revenue. I have broad experience in practice of law. I've handled many different cases. Of course, the company the size of Sherwin-Williams Company has its own trucking companies, its own manufacturing facilities. So you can imagine the breadth of cases that I got and the cases that I had to handle. I've received national awards. I've been recognized by judges and attorneys all over the country. I practiced trial and appellate work in 40 states in 10 countries. So there's no question that I'm more qualified than any other judge that's ever tried to run for the Court of Appeals, the 11th District Court of Appeals. Now, I think something that's important about the endorsements is, let's just take let me ask you a question. How many people believe and rely on everything they read in the newspaper? So much for the endorsements of the newspapers. Okay? Judge Cannon wants you to believe that endorsements from local bar associations are important. Okay? That's because there's a mentality on the 11th District Court of Appeals that you, the people, the public, need to understand. You need to take the court back. The elitist mentality that it's a court of the judges is not a good mentality for public servants. Okay? Just because lawyers think that these judges are good doesn't necessarily mean that they're doing the best job possible for the public. The Bar Association polls are a secret. The Bar Associations won't release the format that they use, they won't release the information, and until you have all the information that's available to you, you can't rely on it reasonably. My name is Ron Tamburino, and I'm running for the 11th District Court of Appeals, and I'm well qualified to accept that position. Thank you.
Next, we have Judge Rice.
Good evening. My name is Judge Cynthia Rice. I've been your judge on the 11th District Court of Appeals for the past 12 years. And there are two races here. That's one race, and this is another race. Because we have 5 judges on the Court of Appeals, and when we hear a case, we sit as a panel of 3. So it's not just one judge, there's 3 of us that work together. During the past 12 years, I have authored over 1,000 opinions and decided over 3,000 appeals. I've also been assigned by the Ohio Supreme Court to sit on the Supreme Court and to sit in the 2nd, the 7th, and the 9th District Court of Appeals. By doing this, the Court of Appeals judges that are asked to do this has been able to cut the Ohio Supreme Court's budget for visiting judges by over $200,000 per year. I also sit on the Ohio Judicial Conference Executive Committee, which is a leadership group of all the judges in the state of Ohio. I am the co-chair of the Criminal Law and Procedure Committee and have done that for the past 4 years and have been asked to do it for another 2-year term. I've received the endorsements of the Plain Dealer, and yesterday, on Monday, the Vindicator also endorsed me, and they said that there was, they had no hesitation in endorsing my candidacy because I clearly was the superior candidate. They said that because of my strong track record, that I stood out as a superior candidate and merited widespread voter support. The Trumbull County Bar Association preferred me, and the Portage County Bar Association also voted me highly recommended. The Lake County Bar Association voted me highly recommended with a 96% approval rating. And this is significant because prior to taking the bench, the Lake County attorneys did not know me. They did not know me socially. They had never seen me try a case. They were not familiar with my professionalism or my work ethic. Because prior to taking the bench, I was the Assistant United States Attorney in Youngstown, where I tried federal crimes in Akron, Cleveland, and Youngstown federal courts. And before that, I was the first assistant in the Trumbull County Prosecutor's Office, trying major felonies including capital murder, rape, and major drug offenders. So the 96% approval rating from the Lake County Bar Association is significant because it's a reflection on my job as your judge. I graduated from Purdue University with a degree in business management, and I attended Akron Law School, where I met my husband, Ron, of 27 years. We live in Trumbull County. I'm the only candidate from Trumbull County, and we have 3 adult children. I take my work seriously. I would like to continue to work on the Court of Appeals. I promise to render fair and impartial decisions that are based upon the law and only the law. Please vote for Judge Cynthia Rice on November 4th. Thank you very much.
There are no questions. Thank you, Judge Cannon, Mr. Tamburino, and Judge Rice.
We now move on to countywide candidates and local levies. First, we will have Adrian Bibiano, Trumbull County Auditor, to the stage. Mr. Bibiano is running for re-election unopposed. Good evening, Mr. Bibiano. Due to time constraints, we will not have questions for you. However, you will be given 4 minutes to introduce yourself.
Okay. I need less than that. It's a long night. I am Trumbull County Auditor Adrian Bibiano. For those, look at my website, you see a much younger picture of me. Anyhow, I've been auditor for 8 years. I've been in the county auditor's office. This is actually 19 years in the county auditor's office. Before becoming auditor in 2005, I was the chief deputy auditor for 11 years before that. So, been there a long time. The county auditor is the chief. There's so many jobs that the county auditor's office has in every county in Ohio. When they created county governments, everything they found that they had no place else to put, they stuck it to the county auditor. Okay. The two main functions of the county auditor is the chief fiscal officer of the county. That means I am the financial officer. And it's $670 million goes through my office. Not only of the general county, but any of the other boards, and also the monies that go back to the local townships and the local school districts, etc. The other main issue, and excuse me, I'm just getting over the, the 5-week, oh, it's just a cold. So my voice just came back. The other main function of the county auditor, most of you are aware of your value of your property. We are the chief appraiser of the values of all properties in Trumbull County. In every county, the appraised values come from the county. Trumbull County has just completed what we call the triennial update. Every 6 years we call it the reappraisal. Every 3 years we call it the update. We have just completed the update in 2014. And property values in Trumbull County are basically flat. In fact, the majority of residential properties, you're probably going to see about a 5% reduction in the property value. But remember, the taxes are what you as the voter vote on, and this is coming up in this November election. When you vote on the levies and you vote on various other items, your property tax is passed by the local voters of the areas of the district. So it doesn't come, we don't set the rates. They're voted on by the public, and that's the rates that in turn gives you your property tax bill. Okay, so that's two of the main functions of the county auditor. We have so many other jobs and functions, the budget commissions, the data boards, the county's general fund is $43.8 million, and in saying that, we had a budget of $45 million in 2010. We've reduced it to $42 million in 2011, and it's now up to about 43.8 because we've lost so much money, as was said earlier by the candidates, because of the state of Ohio. I want you just to remember this. Think for a minute, where do you get your services from? You do not get your services from the state of Ohio. You get all of your services locally. You get your police locally, you get your fire locally, you get your schools. This is all local funding, local government. The state made an agreement back in the 70s to return the income tax that you're paying back in what they call the revenue sharing, which is known as the local government fund. And it's not just counties, cities, townships, etc. It's the schools that are suffering with this also. So just remember, where do you get your services from? So when the state brags about their $3 billion surplus, that's your money. They took it from your pocket. They're keeping it in Columbus. Meanwhile, we're struggling here, all the local governments, all the schools. I know that because we look and we see all the budgets of all the entities, the schools, etc., etc. Again, remember, we want that money back. That money belongs here, not in Columbus, Ohio. So, any questions on that? As you can tell, you can excuse me. You can check the local state candidates for their opinions on that. So, on that, again, thank you very much, the school and, of course, our trustees for inviting us here. And you can check my website. Any information you want is available there about all the good things that are going on in Trumbull County. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Bibiano. We now welcome Judge Peter Contos to the stage. Judge Contos is running for re-election for Court of Common Pleas.
Good evening, everybody. It's now evening. I can see it's dark out now, so we've been here for a while. I'm Judge Peter Contos, Judge of the Trumbull County Court of Common Pleas. I've been on the bench. This is my 18th year, I'm running for re-election, and this is the third time I'm running for re-election unopposed. And I hope, and I like to think it's because the citizens of this county, my county, Trumbull County, believe I served them well. A little bit about myself. I started off in the Trumbull County Prosecutor's Office and worked there for 17 years. The last 10 of which I was the head of the criminal division, trying a variety of cases, many of them high profile, everything from aggravated murder to rape cases, kidnapping, and others. And I was proud to be selected in 1996 as the Ohio Prosecuting Attorneys Association Assistant Prosecutor of the Year. When I took the bench in 1997 as the General Division Judge, which means that in the civil matters we hear things from car accident cases, medical malpractice, breach of contract cases, those kind of matters. And we also hear all the felony criminal cases, everything from aggravated drugs to burglaries to robberies to rapes and capital murder cases. And while I was a judge, I've been appointed to several commissions by the Ohio Supreme Court. I was the president of the Ohio Common Pleas Judges Association. And for 1 year, I was proud to serve with Judge Cynthia Rice on the Ohio Judicial Conference. I represented the Ohio Common Pleas Judges Association. I've also been appointed on a number of occasions by the Ohio Supreme Court to be a mentor judge for recently appointed or recently elected judges to assist them in any way I can with some issues that they probably hadn't been aware of, having never been a judge before. The last thing I want to leave you with, and it's not so much for the people in this room, but to take this message out. If you've been watching the national news, you see all these problems throughout the world. More recently, even in Hong Kong, their right to vote, and they want the democracy. We have democracy. We have the right to vote. And this year, which is an off-year election, it's a non-presidential election, there's going to be way more people that are going to be sitting at home not voting rather than exercising their right to vote. And what I ask of you is, you are the ones who are concerned enough to be here. Tell your friends, your relatives, people you work with, that every election is just as important as the presidential election, because the people that you're going to be voting for are the people who are going to directly impact you. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Judge. And now we welcome Mr. James Federico to the stage. He's running for probate court. And again, you'll have 4 minutes to introduce yourself.
Good evening. I'm Jim Frederica, and I'm unopposed this fall. I first want to express my thank you to the Maplewood government class, Ben, and the Township trustees for inviting me. And I want to express my thank you to you for the opportunity to serve Trumbull County as the next probate judge. There is a lot of work to do at probate court, and the transition has already started. Judge Swift and I talk daily about the issues in the probate court, and we both appreciate the need and how critical it is that we have a smooth transition so that we can continue to serve the people of Trumbull County. The needs are great. Probate court is about people. It's not just about files, and especially our seniors. We need to communicate and outreach to our seniors. We need to explain to them what services are available and what programs are available through the probate court. And not only do we have to reach out to our seniors, we have to reach out to the public. This evening I was asked a question about our Guardian Angel program. It's not a program that's well known, but it's a program that serves our seniors very well. We have people who volunteer to be the eyes and ears of the probate court, to actually go out and visit with our seniors who don't have family and close friends to keep an eye on them. So that these volunteers go out in our community, meet with our seniors, report back to the probate court to ensure that that if the elderly person is in a nursing home, that the nursing home is taking care of them, that they are well fed, that they are clean, and that their needs are being met. There are many programs in the probate court, such as senior court, where a senior has an issue with the law. Probate court will step in and assist those seniors in the process of going through the probate court. So outreach and education, not only for the seniors, but for the public in general will be our goal. I can only ask you for your support and your help in this transition, and I can ask you please to go out and vote on November the 4th. We need people to go to the polls, vote for your candidate of your choice, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we'll have our candidates for Trumbull County Commissioner. Please welcome Maria Cantalamessa, Frank Fuda, and John Williams to the stage. I'd also like to welcome Barry Meadows, surrogate for Patricia Paradon. Now, good evening. You have 3 minutes to introduce yourself with your opening statement. We will begin with Mr. Cantalamessa.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you for having us. And more than anything, I'd like to first start by thanking the trustees and Maplewood Schools, Mr. Perry Nichols, the outstanding, tremendous, scholastic achievement of Maplewood Schools. I said it before when I was here, and I'll say it again, there's a blueprint on how to do it in public schools, so congratulations to you. My name is Mauro Cantalamessa, and I'm a graduate of John Carroll University and Youngstown State University, former teacher and current small business owner. And in the brief time that I've been fortunate enough to be here, serve as your county commissioner, I've already taken an aggressive leadership role in a lot of different issues, and I'd like to talk about a few of those today. Along with the Mahoning County Commissioners, we've been able to stabilize our Port Authority, number one. At my urging, we were able to have a SWOT analysis done, a reputable consultant, nonpartisan, highlighted our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And the result of that SWOT analysis was 3 nonpartisan qualified board members that have changed the face of that board. And along with that, an interim director that knows intimately the landscape and the demographics of both counties. We're very proud of that. In 2 short months, we've gone from, you've read it in the papers, from dissolving the Port Authority to now having the lines of communication and cooperation more open than they ever have been. So, secondly, we've moved forward with our new Veterans Affairs building. It was the brainchild of the late Paul Heltzel, as many of you know. He envisioned a state-of-the-art, dignified flagship building for our veterans, and we're going to see that through. I worked closely with the architects on that to make sure that we had the renderings at our last commissioner's hearing. We're expecting that to be completed by late March, early April of 2015. And also, obviously, with the townships, what's important is we've continued to improve and modernize our infrastructure. And working with Rex Fee and our sanitary engineers, we're going to do $60 million worth of sanitary sewer projects by the year 2020. That's our forecast. And through the grants that we use with our grants coordinator, Julie Green, and our planning commission, a lot of that funding will come through state and federal dollars. But with that being said, and I know this is the nut and bolt of the townships, we must continue to work with our state representatives, push for meaningful legislation in Columbus. For too long we've attacked homeowners instead of working with them. Consent decrees and arbitrary septic regulations have hurt, obviously, property values, and they make it impossible, if not completely impossible to sell or buy a new home. So, and finally, I'd just like to say thank you again for having us. For all these candidates to share their future of what they feel is the future of Trumbull County and the vision for Trumbull County. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Now Mr. Bibiano, who is here for Frank Fuda.
Okay, I have to get down here. For those that know Frank Fuda, trust me, as of this morning, he was still coming. He showed up at my office yesterday morning. I had just gotten over this, virus, whatever it's going around. He's coughing. I had to throw him out of my office. He did go to the doctor. For Frank Fuda not to show up to something, for those that know him, it's never happened. So Frank is very sick, and we both threatened, Mara and myself, to stay home because he needs to get his rest. Put it simply, Frank Fuda is the hardest working commissioner I've ever known for 36 years. I've been in government 36 years. Started with the state, went on to Trumbull County. Hardest working commissioner I've ever seen. He's like the councilman of the county. He responds to every taxpayer's concern. He tries to direct them to the places where they need to go. He looks in, he follows up with information. This was never done before in the previous boards. Commissioner Heltzel was the same way, our good friend who's not with us any longer. But Frank instilled the concept of working as a team. The elected officials of Trumbull County, we all work as a team. Recorder Marquez is sitting in the audience. All of us work together to serve the public. All right, that's the issue, not politics. We're here to serve the public. We've been able to maintain employment and services in Trumbull County with losing over $10 million since 2010 out of the county's general fund budget. $10 million. So again, Commissioner Fuda, his work towards maintaining everybody cooperating together to continue to provide services in Trumbull County. The sewer projects that Mauro just mentioned, the Kensman project should be called the Frank Fuda project. I was here at the time. They kept trying to stop that project. Columbus, again, you don't need that project. We don't need it. You don't need it. He went down to Columbus. He argued with the EPA. He argued with the various funding agencies. Frank took the effort for the people to secure the money, roughly $10 million for that project. All right. And again, this is the type of person you want as a commissioner. He has been in office now. We ran together the first time in '06. He's been there 8 years. Again, he appreciates your support, and we ask again for the vote for Frank Fuda. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Meadows?
Thank you. Pat asked me to read this letter to dear friends. My name is Patricia Hall Perrodin. I am running for Trumbull County Commissioner. I chose to run for Commissioner not only to give you, the people of Trumbull County, a choice this November, but to also give you a chance. I want to give you a chance at prosperity, new opportunity, a new political climate, and a community you can feel proud of once again. I will model what a true public servant looks like and hold accountable those who may have forgotten. I will aggressively look for ways to cut spending and save money without sacrificing the quality and integrity of services. I will respect the public's time by requesting public meetings be held when it is more convenient for the public. Abuse of governmental power, extreme overreach, and retaliation is never justified. I will not hesitate to call for an investigation if this happens under my watch. I will work hard to restore honesty and integrity to all public agencies in Trumbull County. Let me be real. There is no doubt that a cloud has been hanging over Trumbull County as a result of cronyism and corruption. We all know it's there and is the proverbial elephant in the room. It is time for it to be addressed and led out of town. My goal is to foster an environment in this county that our children will no longer want or have to leave. I will work to build a business-friendly environment that doesn't just attract businesses, but aggressively goes after them. I am committed to protecting the rights of residents in Trumbull County, but I must be elected first to accomplish this. I appreciate not only your vote this November for Trumbull County Commissioner, but also your help in spreading the word that there is a choice. Say no to FUTA and yes to Paradin. Thank you for your kind attention, and may God bless you. Patricia Hall Paradin.
Mr. Williams.
I just want to make one correction. I go by JD, but you introduced me as John, so those signs are mine that are around Trumbull County. I do want to say that one thing that has not occurred tonight is a round of applause for the Maplewood School District for their #1 ranking in Trumbull County, so I would encourage you to do that now. My name's JD Williams, and I'm running for Trumbull County Commissioner. I'm a 29-year veteran and a retired lieutenant colonel. I currently fly the 767 for United Airlines, and as commissioner, I will work for you. So many candidates talk about change as their reason for running for office, but I'm running for office because I want progress. I want progress in Trumbull County. I want progress which starts with a two-party system. Why? Because a two-party system provides for sound checks and balances and provides for spirited debate, both of which are the mother of progress. As I look around the room, I don't see any kids left, but they are the future of Trumbull County. It's the brilliance of our kids and the intellect that we need to harvest for economic progress. Audrey and I have 2 daughters. Both are very smart and well-educated. They're raised in Liberty Township. They both left to pursue careers. 2 daughters and 2 households that won't be buying homes and cars nor goods and services in Trumbull County. And it happens every time a family or a young adult leaves to find work. To make Trumbull County strong and vibrant, we need to keep the talent and ideas of our people. How do we do this? We do this with jobs. We do this by making Trumbull County the easiest, most affordable, and most appealing place to conduct your business. We have an abundance of economic developmental engines here at our disposal, but we need to coordinate their efforts so that all the information and all the services that Trumbull has to offer a business, a government entity, or a nonprofit are in one place and easy to access. Then we go a step further. We don't wait for businesses to come to us. We go to them. We market our area to the rest of the country and the rest of the world. As your commissioner, I will look for growth opportunities, new ventures, and jobs for the entire county. That way, and together, we create our future with new taxpayers and not new taxes. Just remember, everything works when people are working. Ladies and gentlemen, progress. It's about bringing economic development and jobs so that we can pave our roads, fix our bridges, lay those sewer lines, invest in education, and revitalize our neighborhoods. But most importantly, we have to have something to offer to our children to keep them here. Not just because we want to see them at Sunday night dinner, but because our kids are the future of our county. My name is J.D. Williams, and I ask you for your votes on November 4th for County Commissioner. Thank you.
We will begin questions with Mr. Williams. Is the condition of Warren, the county seat, dragging down the rest of Trumbull County?
Could you speak up just a little bit, please?
Is the condition of Warren, the county seat, dragging down the rest of Trumbull County?
There's no question in my mind that the city of Warren is very important and vital as pretty much a central location and what has once been a boom town for economic development in the economy in Trumbull County. I see it as being a very important seat. I think that it's on the decline. The numbers that I have read recently is they may be facing a deficit of about $700,000, and quite frankly, I think that we need new people, some spirited people who get in there and bring some economic development to our area, because when there's jobs, problems go away.
Thank you. Mr. Cantalasa?
Can you repeat the question just so I can hear it again?
Is the condition of Warren, the county seat, dragging down the rest of Trumbull County?
I would have to say absolutely not. I think Warren has been through, like many cities, Warren's not unique to this. Warren is like many cities across the country that have taken a big economic hit. But too often, we fail to realize what the bright side is, and we have some councilmen from Warren right here today. Laird Technologies, relocating to Warren, bringing new jobs to Warren, high-paying jobs. You mentioned paving roads. Warren has paved roads. The amount of drive through Warren, and you'll see how many roads have been paved throughout Warren. So no, if one thing I know in Warren, we know how to take a punch, and we took a punch, and we're coming right back to it. So thanks.
The next question for Mr. Williams. If Trumbull County faced budget cuts due to reduced state and federal funds, where and how would you make cuts?
You know, that's a really tough question. I think that I think that we're so thin that we really can't necessarily make cuts. But what I think that we could do better on is we could concentrate on the revenue side. You know, taking a look at the budget, we need to collect taxes. We need to be very aggressive in that matter. We need to Sunshine, for example, has not paid taxes in a long time and has not been able to open up any of their books to investigation. I think it's very important for a full public disclosure. I call upon that, and quite frankly, when we can collect taxes and we can go back and dovetail back to economic development, because as my opponent mentioned, he mentioned one industry. We need more than that to make Warren come back, because I see too many empty storefronts. So I want to work on the revenue side because the budget is thin, and I don't see any cuts here in the near future on that.
Mr. Cantalasa.
Unfortunately, as Auditor Viviano brought about, a lot of those cuts happened because of what's going on in the state. Since 2010, $10 million has been cut from our budget. We've had to be magicians and find ways to do more with less. Can you rephrase that first part of that? I'm sorry, I got off on a little tangent there.
If Trumbull County faced budget cuts due to reduced state and federal funds, where and how would you make cuts?
I don't know, because when you think about it, I mean, which part of the road project that's being paved do you want to cut? Which part of the person at CSE do you want to cut? Or which mother or child do you want to cut out there? Which inmate do you want to let out of prison and cut more in our sheriff's department? There's just not enough room for it. I think we've done more with less, and we're going to continue to do so without any layoffs. But no, we can continue to do what we've been doing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have no more questions. Thank you, Mr. Williams, Mr. Cantalasa, Mr. Viviano, and Mr. Meadows.
Good evening. Thanks for sticking around for the final event of the night. I was born and raised in Warren, Ohio, went to Harding High School, did my bachelor's at Mount Vernon University and my master's at Youngstown State. I've been at the Mental Health and Recovery Board for almost 12 years, and I've been the executive director for almost 5. And we experienced those cuts when I took over that the other county officials have talked about, and we've done a lot of just tightening our belts. We've reduced staff with attrition. We only have 9 staff, myself included, at the board, and 2 of them are paid for entirely by other grants. There are 5 of us on staff now who write grants to bring more money into the county. And the Mental Health and Recovery Board used to be Trumbull Lifelines with the umbrella. We fund agencies like Valley Counseling, Community Solutions, Homes for Kids, Compass, Coleman. We fund crisis services at the hospital if somebody shows up and they're suicidal. We fund detox services for people who accidentally overdose and end up needing treatment and care for their addiction issues. We also fund a lot of services in the schools like counseling, and we just started doing drug and alcohol prevention this year, and by the end of the year we expect to get in all of the county schools with help from the Educational Service Center getting us in there, because we know unless we stop kids from using this opiate epidemic and all the other addiction issues that are just really impacting so many families in our community are just going to continue. I think that what Maplewood District did here and Superintendent Perry is awesome. When I worked in Warren City Schools for 8 years before I came to the board, I always watched, the other county schools and what the grades were, and I think that all of us together, the social service agencies, the educators, and so forth, can help to keep kids in school, improve our graduation rates, but we need your help, and we need your help to pass our levy. It's only once every 10 years. It costs a homeowner of a $100,000 home $2.52 per month. That's it. And it's a renewal. There are no new monies that we're asking for. We've been handing out brochures. We have a website, of course, and just want to bring to your attention, there was an issue with our ballot, and so the ballot doesn't say Mental Health Recovery Board, it just says Trumbull County. So when you get to the ballot, please read the fine print where it explains alcohol, mental health, and drug addiction services. That's the Mental Health and Recovery Board, with all the billboards and commercials and so forth that you've seen. So look for that issue. Please vote yes for that issue. Like I said, there are no new monies for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Gray?
Thank you. Thank you to Ben Gibson and Maplewood for allowing us here this evening. I'm also proud to say that I had Mr. Gibson in my 7th grade history class at Lordstown High School. Very proud. I'm Jason Gray, and I'm the superintendent at the Trumbull Career Technical Center. There are 49 career centers in the state of Ohio, and Trumbull County, we are among the very best. Last year, we celebrated our 35th anniversary, and I'm asking for your support for our renewal levy this November. The passage of this renewal in November will allow TCTC to continue to offer high-quality career and technical programs at both the high school and adult levels, and ensure that Trumbull County has a skilled workforce and a nationally recognized career center. This renewal will generate about 46% of our operating budget. We currently service about 1,200 students per year and service 19 districts. The shared service model is ideal for 2 reasons. It makes great financial sense, as well as it allows us to share resources among our districts and provide a high-quality educational opportunity. The other reason this is a great shared service model is in Ohio, career technical education is at the forefront. And the model allows us to share services rather than, in Ohio, you have to have at least 12 career programs for each, for your students. And in an absence of a Trumbull Career and Technical Center, the home district would have to provide those services. So the shared service model does work. A couple other points I just want to mention. I mentioned we were here for 35 years. We have worked on the same millage for that entire time, so this is not a new tax. This is simply a 10-year renewal. We have done tremendous things. We have grown. It's not the career center of the 80s. It is a career and technical center, very high tech engineering, biotechnology. We have 32 programs, a full academic coursework, course load. All the programs come with college credit, so students can either enter the workforce with industry credentials or they can go on to college. So, like Maplewood and all the schools in Trumbull County, we want our students to be college and career ready. We operate the Adult Center. We service about 2,000 adult learners each year. We allow those who have been dislocated workers or maybe job closings to get back to work and help our economy. For this reason, I'm asking you to please support the TCTC renewal. and allow us to continue doing what we've been doing for 35 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schaffner.
Good evening. Thanks, Maplewood, for having us tonight. I'm last, just like I got picked for the sports teams when I was a kid. So I'm used to it. That's all right. It's great to be up here with our schools and with our Mental Health and Recovery Board. Do you know that Trumbull County leads all 88 counties in the way we work together across systems? You probably didn't know that. We do. This position as Executive Director of Trumbull County Children's Services has given me a chance to get to Columbus and find that out, that in each year we save over $3.5 million of your money by working together across systems, and we do it very effectively. Mr. Bibiano talked about the state funding coming down to local. When you look across the 50 states in the United States, Ohio is 50th in state contribution to local child welfare. That's pretty embarrassing to be an Ohioan, and I'm not embarrassed about anything else about being an Ohioan, but that is, if they doubled what they sent us from Columbus, we'd be 50th in the United States. So we depend on your generosity and your support, because at the end of the day, we're 150 people who come to work every day with a fire in our belly to, number one, keep kids alive, keep kids safe. We do it quietly every day until something terrible happens. Our second job is to find permanent homes for kids who have no homes. There are those kids who come to this school system, to every school system in Trumbull County. They're not invisible because we find loving families for them, forever families. And our third main job is well-being, that we need to keep families together as much as possible, and 80% of the time we do. But we need to identify the traumatic events that happen to the children in Trumbull County. We need to work with our Mental Health and Recovery Board in providing treatment for that, because if we don't, it ends up in lifelong challenges, not only emotionally, but physically. So your investment in the children and families in Trumbull County not only reaps an immediate outcome, but it reaps a 50-year outcome, because we're erasing the healthcare problems and the mental health problems that can occur. So we appreciate your having us here tonight. We appreciate your support. We need you. And it's a renewal levy, no new taxes, just under $25 a year for a $100,000 house. And that's only a couple cups of coffee from Starbucks. So thank you very much, and have a good evening.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Caraway. Thank you, Mr. Gray. And thank you, Mr. Schaffner. And thank you guys for staying out tonight. No one brought their sleeping bags, but that's okay. We didn't go too long, but thank you all again. Thank the Trustees Association for screening the questions, and thanks for the Johnson Civic Club and students. You guys did a great job.